Reading practice.
Weather. Seasonal change today is impossible to predict. Scientists believe that it is all because of global warming. We can notice this when the summer gets warmer and the winter gets colder. Usually, seasons change because of the sun's revolution. In the summer, our Earth's position leans toward the sun. This makes some parts of our Earth get hotter since they get closer to the sun. And at other times, the Earth gets a little bit further from our sun. It makes some regions on Earth get colder. The other parts of the globe may have similar seasons but at different times. Between June and August, the Earth's southern half experiences winter time. Winter occurs in the northern hemisphere in December to February.
Snowfall. Snowfall is always exciting. During the snowfall, people love to stay outside the house and have fun with the snow. Building a snowman and playing snowballs are some fun activities to do during snowfall. Snow is actually water droplets that fall from our clouds. The droplets of water become solid. This process happens because the rainwater consists of particles of water vapor. The particles are then being cooled in the air. When the water vapor that piles up in the atmosphere of Earth freezes, it becomes snow. Snow will only be created when the cloud's temperature becomes too frigid. Snowflakes are made by the ice crystals that have established around the air's little filth. Then they will grow from smaller forms into the bigger ones. The snowflake's form is varied.
COVID-19. COVID-19 is the latest virus that has attacked the whole world. It becomes a pandemic and contaminates people all around the globe. What is this COVID-19? COVID-19 is a disease that is very infectious. The disease is caused by the new coronavirus type. Is this virus dangerous? You need to learn how it spreads to humans to anticipate the virus. This virus can spread from person to person. It can easily spread between people who are in contact about 6 feet away. The virus can also range through the respiratory dewdrops. The dewdrops are produced by the infected persons who cough or sneeze. If the drops land in the mouths or noses of people nearby, those people can get infected too. Another way COVID-19 can spread to the other humans is by interaction with any infected surfaces or objects. When someone touches infected objects and touches their mouth or nose, they can be infected. This new virus is highly spreadable. We all need to be alerted and always follow the health protocol in order to keep us free from the virus. Airplane. We see planes flying in the sky almost every day. Inside the planes, there are hundreds of humans sitting and even walking safely. What makes the planes fly freely between the clouds? Airplanes are able to generate energy. That's why this huge and heavy object can fly in the air. It is all because of the force that is scientifically named lift. It will move the airplanes upward. There are various forces that can make airplanes fly in the sky. Some of those forces are lift, drag, thrust, and weight. How do the forces work and move the airplane? In order to move the airplane forward, the engines are going to create thrust that is greater than the drag. Drag itself is a force that is created by the airplane's air resistance. And in order to move the plane upward, forward motion should reach the right amount. Airplane will be able to fly if only the lift force is greater than the force in weight. That's how the airplane can fly. Breathing. Our body collects oxygen from the air and then cleans our body from carbon dioxide. It is all done by our respiratory system. But how does the respiratory system work? The very first respiration phase is inhalation or breathing in. This phase is going to bring the air from outside into our lungs. Then from the lungs, oxygen is going to move through our blood vessels. The oxygen will then reach our heart, and the heart is going to pump the blood that contains oxygen to the entire parts of our body. Oxygen is going to move into our cells and complete the first phase. Inside our cells, the oxygen is going to help produce the carbon dioxide, which is the byproduct of a process that creates separate energy. Then the second respiration phase starts when the carbon dioxide is moving from our cells to our bloodstream. It will bring carbon dioxide to our heart. Then our heart will pump it to our lungs. Inside our lungs, the exhalation or breathing out process will remove the carbon dioxide and keep our body clean. That's how our respiration cycle works.
The golden touch. Once there lived a greedy man in a small town. He was very rich, and he loved gold and all things fancy. But he loved his daughter more than anything. One day, he chanced upon a fairy. The fairy's hair was caught in a few tree branches. He helped her out, but as his greediness took over, he realized that he had an opportunity to become richer by asking for a wish in return for his help. The fairy granted him a wish. He said, "All that I touch should turn to gold." And his wish was granted by the grateful fairy. The greedy man rushed home to tell his wife and daughter about his wish, all the while touching stones and pebbles and watching them convert into gold. Once he got home, his daughter rushed to greet him. As soon as he bent down to scoop her up in his arms, she turned into a gold statue. He was devastated and started crying and trying to bring his daughter back to life. He realized his folly and spent the rest of his days searching for the fairy to take away his wish. The proud rose. Once upon a time, in a desert far away, there was a rose who was so proud of her beautiful looks. Her only complaint was growing next to an ugly cactus. Every day, the beautiful rose would insult and mock the cactus on his looks, all while the cactus remained quiet. All the other plants nearby tried to make the rose see sense, but she was too swayed by her own looks. One scorching summer, the desert became dry, and there was no water left for the plants. The rose quickly began to wilt. Her beautiful petals dried up, losing their lush color. Looking to the cactus, she saw a sparrow dip his beak into the cactus to drink some water. Though ashamed, the rose asked the cactus if she could have some water. The kind cactus readily agreed, helping them both through the tough summer, as friends. The Fox and the Stork. One day, a selfish fox invited a stork for dinner. Stork was very happy with the invitation. She reached the fox's home on time and knocked at the door with her long beak. The fox took her to the dinner table and served some soup in shallow bowls for both of them. As the bowl was too shallow for the stork, she couldn't have soup at all. But the fox licked up his soup quickly. The stork was angry and upset, but she didn't show her anger and behaved politely. To teach a lesson to the fox, she then invited him for dinner the next day. She too served soup, but this time the soup was served in two tall narrow vases. The stork devoured the soup from her vase, but the fox couldn't drink any of it because of his narrow neck. The fox realized his mistake and went home famished.
My best holiday. I spent my last holiday at home. The activities during the holiday gave me so much fun because it was related to my hobby. On school days I am usually busy with schoolwork, so I only have very little time to do my hobbies. That's why I really enjoy doing what I love during school holidays. My hobby is singing while playing guitar. I created a YouTube channel to do my hobby in music. My brothers and parents are very supportive. Sometimes they help me make videos and arrange lights as well as layouts. I currently have more than 50 videos. Many family and friends have become subscribers to my YouTube channel. I am very passionate about this hobby. During holiday, sometimes some of my friends came over to my house to see my performance. Even though I was totally at home, I really enjoy my last school holiday.
She's my true best friend. Have you ever had a true friend? I also have it. In fact, we have been friends for 5 years. I didn't know that true friends existed. But after getting to know my best friend, he told me that true friends exist. I used to always be bullied, but my best friend named Ami always defended me. He even taught me how to fight. I'm very happy to know him. Ami made me braver than before. I am really thankful to her, so I decided to always help her out while she's in trouble. I don't mind doing it 'cause she helped me so much.
My beloved family. I really love my family. I used to hate it, but now not anymore because of one incident. One day, I was angry with my mother for not letting me participate in an art show at school. Finally, I ran away from home but instead got lost. My mother looked here and there while confused. Even the neighbors said, my mother cried while looking for me. When my mother found me lost on a deserted road, she hugged me until she cried.
She said the mother could not imagine if she lost her child. Since then, I have felt the love of my family is very big. That's why I've always loved them.
A day in school. School is not a happy place for me. Every day I get into trouble because my friends are always bullied. I felt uncomfortable going to school because of that, so I always wanted to stay at home. But one day, at our school there was a very pleasant teacher. He always told me about his life experiences that made my spirit bounce back. After the teacher's arrival, I became diligent in school. I can better ignore friends who make fun of me. One day I thanked the teacher who saved my life.
Traffic accident. A fuel truck lost control while speeding on the Mangan Raharjo Road, Surabaya, and suffered serious accident. The truck crashed a motorcycle that came from the opposite direction and burned. A pedestrian who saw the incident said that the fuel truck was seen speeding, then all of a sudden swerved and hit a motorcyclist who came from the front on December 1, 2014. This incident made the motorcycle rider was killed instantly after being hit by the truck, while the truck driver suffered serious injuries to the chest and head. 30 minutes after the incident, the police came to investigate the accident. After doing investigation, they found the cause that the driver was sleepy when driving the truck. In addition to the brake that didn't work, so he couldn't control his truck and hit the victim. The current truck driver had been taken to DOA Ibu Hospital to be treated.
The ant and the dove. One hot day, an ant was seeking for some water. After walking around for a moment, she came to a spring. To reach the spring, she had to climb up a blade of grass. While making her way up, she slipped and fell unintentionally into the water. She could have sunk if a dove up a nearby tree had not seen her. Seeing that the ant was in trouble, the dove quickly put off a leaf from a tree and dropped it immediately into the water near the struggling ant. Then the ant moved towards the leaf and climbed up there. Soon it carried her safely to dry ground. Not long after that, there was a hunter nearby who was throwing out his net towards the dove, hoping to trap it in this way. Guessing what he should do, the ant quickly bit him on the heel. Feeling the pain, the hunter dropped his net and the dove flew away quickly from this net. Pinocchio. In the past, there was a puppeteer whose name is Geppetto. He eager to have a son very much, but his wife passed away several years ago. One day, he got an idea to make a puppet in order not to be lonely again. He made a puppet all day long. Finally, in the morning he had finished his work and he named the puppet Pinocchio. Soon he felt lonely again since Pinocchio couldn't walk or talk by itself. One night, Geppetto prayed to the god to become a real boy. He always thought it on his mind in his dream. In the next morning, he was surprised that Pinocchio was alive. He taught Pinocchio how to walk, how to read, how to speak and to do other things as human. He then studied at an elementary school. One day, Pinocchio felt bored and it made him go home late. When Pinocchio finally came home, Geppetto asked him. He said that he was on school but he wasn't. Instantly, Pinocchio's nose grew longer and longer and it meant that Pinocchio has lied. The next morning, Pinocchio was kidnapped by the owner of circus. Pinocchio soon became a slave for the circus. He was so famous because he was a puppet which can talk. Geppetto worried about him because Pinocchio had not been going home for almost 2 days. He tried to find Pinocchio everywhere but he found nothing. When he searched him on the sea, big waves smashed him. He was then in whale's stomach when he awoke. He couldn't find the way to go out. In the other side, Pinocchio finally could escape out from the circus. He came home but nobody was there. Later on, he searched Geppetto in the sea. He got the same accident like Geppetto and he met Geppetto in whale's stomach. Both of them got out from its stomach by making a fire. In the end of the story, they went home together and lived happily ever after.
Flood. Flooding is a disaster which commonly happens in large and densely populated cities. In Indonesia, the floods hit Jakarta very often and cause many victims. Then, do you know the process of how flood happens? Pay attention to the following explanation. The process of natural flooding is preceded by rain which falls to the surface of the earth. Then the rainwater is absorbed by the ground surface and flows to the lower place. Once that condition happens, evaporation and the water appear to the surface of the land. Flooding can be disastrous for humans when floods happen in an area that people live because the water carries along objects like houses, bridges, cars, furniture, and even people. On the other hand, the process of non-natural flooding is usually caused by bad habits of humans who do not care about the environment, such as littering that can make water flow clogged. This makes the water deposited in landfills, which gradually becomes more common. When water reservoirs can no longer hold water discharge, the water then overflows outland and cause flooding.
Tsunami.
In Indonesia, we are very familiar with the word tsunami. This natural disaster has ever killed thousands of lives in Banda Aceh a few years ago. Indonesia mourned, the world mourned. Then, how the tsunami happens. Here is a brief explanation of the process of how the Asian tsunami happens. Tsunamis can occur if there is a phenomenon which causes the displacement of large amounts of water in the ocean, such as volcanic eruptions, earthquakes, landslides, and meteors that fall to Earth. However, 90% of tsunamis is the result of underwater earthquakes. Vertical movement in the Earth's crust in the bottom of the ocean causes a sudden up or down movement of seafloor, which then causes the water balance disorders above it. This disturbance causes the occurrence of the flow of the massive seawater energy, that once it reaches the shore, it becomes huge waves resulting tsunami.